Hello, everyone, and welcome to another race in the Link to the Past Randomizer 2019 tournament. This go round, we have the second race in the matchup between Josh124 and Bonta. Bonta has won the first race, and as a result, Josh decided that he was going to make this a 6-6 race, which means you only need 6 crystals to get into Ganon's Tower, and only need 6 crystals to kill Ganon. So potentially there's going to be kind of a wild card fourth pendant dungeon in there that the runners will be able to treat it to, since they'll only need to be able to complete 6 dungeons to be able to murder the pig. Anyways, I'm Hammerbro. I'm one of your comms for today, and I am joined by Cool Papa Bell. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. I'm excited to see some more great rando action. Things have been crazy even already in this tournament, and I expect another great race today.
Oh yeah, this is just the very beginning of us getting our fix for A Link to the Past, and I am really looking to an extended tournament of just insanity and great plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen one tie already today. Anything 2 seconds or closer on the finish is considered a tie. And some questions in chat about the settings. The way it works is there are various settings that runners are allowed to toggle. They can't just choose absolutely anything, but the loser of the first match is allowed to change one of those settings as they see fit before the second match.
Yep, and that allows for a little bit of kind of just natural variation between what type of seeds we play. As if it just so happens that Josh wins this one, then Bonta will be able to make a change to the seed. But that change will be made off of this template, so off of the 6-6 crystal template, not off of a regular race that they started with. So we should see some interesting combinations for our game 3s as soon as those start occurring, which I'm definitely looking forward to as well.
Yeah, because Bonta could choose to switch it back to 7-7 if he wanted to, or we could go crazy and make it like 6-6 fast Ganon, all sorts of combinations, as you mentioned.
Yeah, that would be a much faster race. They are both started out in the same spot and starting out with 50 rupees, which will be nice for our bottle vendor, or if they don't end up getting early bombs.
Quick map check there. Looked like crystals at Eastern and Hera and red pendant in the desert.
Okay, I'm glad you saw desert because I missed that one. I did see the crystals on Eastern and Hera, though. Alright, and the game is throwing money at us early, so I don't think early game rupees will be a problem. Farming for Zora, if needed, will not be too difficult of a task. You know, seeing the cape early always mildly terrifies me, since that's one of the things that you could need for Aghanim. You know, just always makes me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that'll definitely be on the runner's mind when you start seeing these early items. You sort of start to think like, okay, where does the game want me to go? Looks like Bonta's going to grab some more rupees, farming off of the tree pole there.
It looks like he might be farming some more, though he only needs to... Oh, never mind, okay. Going straight into escape with 3 bombs. This should be fun. Alright, so Josh is taking the more, I guess I'll say standard route, even though there's a bit of a difference between routes that runners take for open seeds to begin with. But he is headed up towards our tree pole here, our rupee crab, and maybe checking the lumberjack tree. Alright, early bombos for Bonta there. And Josh is going to go ahead and check that lumberjack tree.
Yeah, this is an interesting choice from Bonta heading into escape with only the 3 bombs. He's going to be able to get 1 more chest out of this, but not make it all the way to Zelda's cell.
Yeah, that is very interesting, though. To be honest, I have seen in a couple previous races that there tends to be stuff here, so we'll see if that remains true, but he just gets a heart container.
I think I'm trying to remember from their first match. I think there was like a required medallion in Zelda's cell, or something like that. But that's definitely an interesting choice from Bonta because he's pretty well orphaned that Zelda cell check. So we'll see how that works out for him.
Yeah, that'll be definitely interesting, especially if he ends up getting the gloves, because then gloves would allow him to check backup escape without even having to go back into the castle. So that will be an intriguing choice. It also kind of sets an interesting precedent, as generally the person who won the first race tends to take things very, very casually the second race and kind of plays the I'm not going to take any risks, I'm going to make you take risks and get lucky, and I'm just going to clear the game as I see it and then make sure I get everything, don't orphan anything, don't do something stupid to lose the game. But it seems as if Bonta is, at least 4 minutes in, already taking a spot and potentially kind of leaving it alone. So we'll see if that continues as the game goes on.
Yeah, you can sort of think of it both ways. That Bonta can take whatever risks he wants to because he's still got game 3 to fall back on. So that's maybe his thinking so far. But yeah, Josh went ahead to Kakariko along the more traditional route and has found a Moon Pearl and a sword already. So some useful items. I understand Moon Pearl's a pretty helpful thing if you want to beat this game.
Yes, also nice for fortune telling, but we're not really into that business for this particular game. Oh wow, got a flute there, and another sword. And a green goo, which will be really nice for checking Sick Kit. Kakariko is so far living up to its alternative nickname Stackariko so far.
Yeah, and if you were worried about an Aga Seed when you found Cape, that gets even worse when you find Master Sword in the first 5 minutes.
And Cape on top of that. Yeah, it's just it's not looking good so far. We still have hope though. Until we see that lamp, we're good to go. Although that is one of the changes with the new version. Not specifically the Aga Dark Rooms, but some of the Dark Rooms, ergo the one in Eastern to get to Armos Knights. You don't actually need the lamp to complete that room. You can do it with the fire rod and it'll be in logic. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Dark rooms that have torches can't expect you to go through them with the fire rod and just light those torches. Meanwhile, grab your cheese and quackers because we're about to unstuck the duck.
Yeah, I believe there's like one room in Aga Tower that has no torches in it that you can light. Otherwise, it would be in logic with Fire Rod with the V31 changes.
Alright, so the rest of Kakariko being fairly tame as compared to our Blind's Hut and our well drop down. So we'll see if there's anything on the library here. Oh boy. So you need something on your feet to get something else on your feet there. Flipper sitting on a library.
That's definitely interesting. We were just talking about this before the race. In game 1 between these two, the hook shot was on the Zora ledge and was just sort of sitting there in plain sight, taunting the runners for half the seed. And they just didn't quite have what they needed to sequence break around it. So the randomizer is continuing to show them items that they really want, but not let them pick them up just yet.
Although that's kind of a curious thing, as we mentioned before, you only need 6 crystals to defeat Ganon, so the odds of them requiring the flippers are a little bit lessened.
Yeah, absolutely. Fake flippering into Ice Palace is always an option, so you only hard need the flippers for Swamp.
That's fair. I was referring to just logically, though. As long as one of those are a pendant and the other is a crystal, then that could just be the crystal that you don't complete.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That Swamp could be the one you skip. There are lots of ways they could work around flippers in the 6/6 mode. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Which is kind of funny because usually when you see something like flippers, and you kind of look at it and you go, okay, the odds of me needing flippers logically to complete this game are fairly high, which would, I mean, not necessarily guarantee, but sort of imply that I might get the boots before, an hour and 30 minutes. But with it being a 6/6 crystal seed, that's not necessarily the case.
Meanwhile, Mini Moldorm Cave is filling up our runners on the cash that they will need to, if they want to sequence break past some of those flippers right now and head up to Zora.
And that does make that a very interesting choice, knowing exactly where the flippers are, because as Josh grabs the Power Glove out of Ice Cave, that of Ice Ride Cave rather, you know that the flippers are locked behind boots. So if you grab something odd in Zora, for instance, or even any of the flipper locations, you'll know that the boots won't be behind that item.
And yeah, it looks like Josh is going to go ahead and take that fake flipper option right now. Zora is in logic with that glove, so this is not the way the randomizer intends for you to get there, but there might be an item on Zora that it expects us to get right now.
Chat asking, there is nothing on Lumberjack Ledge. We're only looking at a piece of art. Alright, Bonta needing to be careful here. Pretty much everything around him will finish him off here. Really early Agana check as we see a blue goo over on Lake Hylia Island.
Yeah, I think this is the one you would only do with the flute, because otherwise it's just too long of a check to walk over here. But when you can fly here, it becomes much easier. Does not pay off for Bonta at this point, and we'll see what Josh is getting out of the flipper sequence break.
Yep, it looks like while he's doing that, Bonta is going to go do the back escape, which would officially orphan out that Zelda cell location. Okay, that's actually really unfortunate seeing both the key and the map there. That means neither of those can be sitting in Zelda Cell.
Yeah, and he is going to go ahead and make his way to Dark Cross here. A lot easier when you've got that Master Sword and can just snipe these key rats from half a room away.
Alright, Zora being a jerk as usual. 20 rupees for 500.
And just a full heart up there on the Zora ledge, so Josh is now done with that part of the world.
Alright, looks like Josh is going to retrace Bonta's steps here, and we'll see what Bonta decides to do next.
Yeah, so logically, we're down to pretty much just Eastern, I believe. Our runners have checked just about everything else, well, except Zelda's cell, of course. And I guess, yeah, one check on Spectacle Rock. Runners probably aren't going to be super excited about that one since there's only one in-logic check up on top of the mountain at the moment.
Yeah, even grabbing the old man only gives you 2 and a third one that you can stare at for a little while, so that's not exactly a high play.
So now the only question is, will we find the lamp first to put Aga into play, or will we find mitts or a hammer to save us from climbing the stupid tower?
Yeah, there's not really too much that would overly help us out. I mean, a mirror would help us out in the way that we could go do Hera, or the hook shot would give us East Death Mountain. But outside of that, there's not really a whole lot that's going to open up the world at this point.
And Josh is going to go ahead and make the Eastern Palace play, not surprising with the small number of checks that we're down to.
Yep, Bonta's going to go ahead and give us a... Oh, that is a nice grab. A blue goo for your troubles. That might come in handy later. Alright, so Bonta's going to go get ripped off while Josh shows us some new checks here in a moment. Already got the big key, so that's one item off the docket here. Well then, Eastern Care Package in Eastern. That's interesting. All we need to technically complete it now are Fire Rod or the Lamp. Although I'm fairly certain Josh is just going to plow through this dungeon at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. The back dark room here, not so bad to get through, although I do manage to die on it all the time, but I would suspect we'll see the Armos Knights falling fairly soon.
I mean, those Igors are no joke. They take a heart no matter what you're wearing, and when you walk in here kind of early and you've got 3 or 4 or 5 hearts, wow, mirror. Okay, Eastern's loaded. What do we have for our third item back here? I want to know now.
And yeah, this is a pretty fast start, actually, as these things go. We've got 2 crystals in logic now at this point. Oh, and the hook shot out of the man cave.
Oh man, this is insane. We have items dropping left and right. Keep in mind that hookshot is not in logic right now, but it's still really, really nice.
Yeah, so both of our runners opening up access to new parts of Death Mountain for themselves. Bonta can hookshot across the bottom, and of course Josh can climb Spectacle Rock to get up to Tower of Hera, which is what the game sort of wants you to do from the looks of things. But we'll see what Bonta finds with this sequence broken hookshot. Is that Kane?
That is the Kane of Samaria. Oh my goodness. At this rate, we might have a 25-minute go mode. Now, the potential disadvantage here is that if Bonta doesn't grab the hammer somewhere on Death Mountain, Hera could be a second climb. Whereas with Josh, when he does make his way up to the oh, that was unfortunate. Up to Death Mountain, he'll have the mirror and be able to clear Hera. Obviously, Hammer and East Death Mountain notwithstanding.
Yeah, so Josh sort of winning the coin flip here by opting to go for Eastern Palace first. That's just going to work out for him routing-wise.
Which is a kind of amusing little story about Randomizer, because looking at it, you have a crystal in Eastern, and you don't really want to go into Eastern without the bow if you can help it, because then it's a double dip. You know, it's a short dungeon, but still you don't want to walk all the way over there to do it again. So Bonta may be making the smart numbers choice, but Josh getting paid off for it either way.
So we saw a couple instances there of Josh making good use of that cape that he found early, just using it for safety there in that dark room, and also for the anti-fairies in the big vanilla big key room.
Yeah, it's a heck of a lot easier than doing NMG strats to get around it. Alright, so nothing so far in East Death Mountain, but we still do have Spiral Cave, and we can take a look at the floating island over there.
And Josh is set up nicely for the quick Armos kill here. Ooh, one arrow got away from him, so commentator's curse, I guess.
Alright, full heart over on Floating Island while Josh grabs his first crystal.
And not surprising, Josh pulls out the flute and is probably going to head straight up to Death Mountain with his shiny new mirror.
He's going to be really, really pleased when he grabs the hookshot off the old man, too. Alright, so the fact there was just about nothing on here is actually really, really good for Bonta, because anything up here could have very easily led him astray, away from the mirror.
Yeah, and since he's headed straight for the eastern area at this point, as long as he goes into eastern, he's basically lost no time, because all those checks on East Death Mountain, Josh is also going to make with his hook shot, and Bonta will be able to just head right back up once he gets the mirror. So probably not going to create a huge difference between these runners. Maybe 10 or 15 seconds that it'll take Bonta to get back up there a second time.
Yeah, the time loss would be fairly minimal in that case, as long as he doesn't save and quit or flute out of here, which doesn't look like he's going to, so I think we'll be alright.
Yeah, Josh is heading up to Tower of Hera with no fire source, but with the hook shot, Herapot is definitely an option to at least get upstairs and kind of check everything. Ooh, also takes a fall on this Spectacle Rock bomb jump.
Yeah, that's really, really not an easy one to do.
I think Bonta had the right idea. He went ahead and saved and quit back to the old man. I think that's probably faster without boots than walking all the way through that exit cave, but
Yeah, anything to avoid the walk of shame after a failed bomb jump. Alright, so Josh is going to capitalize on that mirror, and we're going to go see if there's anything useful in Hera for him.
I think there just about has to be, at the very least, lamp to open us up Aghanim, unless something really good is hiding in Zelda's cell.
Yeah, that's that one check we're kind of holding out on. We'll see if he gets anything off of this one. If not, then he's going to need the lamp. Okay, big key. So we get to hold that small key for now.
And it looks like he is going to set up to Harapot here. If you set this up quickly, it is faster than actually running through the second floor of Hera.
Cool. So that is not something I've seen before.
Yeah, so it's a double pixel perfect trick. You have to lay the bomb in just the right spot and then stand in just the right spot. And then the bomb knockback just sort of clips you 1 pixel into that pot. And then you can just kind of fall into it. Oh, there's the lamp in the Tower of Hera big chest.
All right, so far it's looking like Aghanim is still on the table as best I can tell.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way, although I suspect we'll see Josh go all the way to Zelda's cell before doing Aghanim. While you're headed in that direction, might as well explore those last couple of possibilities to try and avoid it.
Yes, especially with the mirror. He'll be able to check the front of escape, and then he'll be able to check, as he takes the fall to Moldorm there, he will be able to also check Dark Cross because he left that behind. Oh, that was a poke, I think, which may or may not have been intentional, because now we're not going to get an aggravated Moldorm there. Alright, so to the best of my knowledge, there is something sitting in Hera basement, unless I'm miscounted.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I was sort of thinking about the lamp after he got it, but yeah, I think that was the compass in the other chest that he found. And yep, he is headed back in.
Strolls back in there. Now, this is an interesting thought. I don't know if Spike Cave would be in logic with a bottle, the cape, and the 5 or 6 hearts they're sitting at right now.
Well, certainly we need the hammer, so...
You know
but yeah,
what? Yeah, that's probably a thing.
But yes, Incoherent saying in chat, and this is what I think I've always been told, is that the game actually does not look at your hearts at all for Spike Cave. It just sort of checks how much magic you have and invincibility items.
Okay, that makes sense. See, this is why I'm doing commentary on it, because if I were playing, I would have probably strolled my butt right into Spike Cave without the hammer, and then rolled my eyes and turned right back around. Alright, just a 20 rupee there, so nothing else useful.
Yeah, I'm also very confused about how in the world Bonta did that setup, other than just being way better at this game than I am. I have no idea what he was lining up on there, but it worked.
Yeah, it didn't even really look like he clipped all that much into it, and he was just able to hook shot to the middle just by as you please.
Yeah, I think it's literally 1 pixel that you clip into that pot, so...
Alright, so Bonta gets to have a go at our favorite little worm, as Josh double checks all of the Eastern Death Mountain stuff. That cape really coming in handy with a low heart situation.
Yeah, and I'm always very happy to pick up these couple of hearts from the 2-item cave here in Paradox.
Yeah, those frequently come in handy.
All right, and Bonta also heading back in to check out Hera Basement. So our runners really are just kind of treading over the same ground as each other, just trying to extinguish all of their options before they finally commit to that Aga Tower climb.
Well, honestly, there's not much ground left to tread over. They've pretty much well gone over everything that there is. You know, it's interesting. One of the biggest things that a 6-6 match would help you with is potentially not needing the Ice Rod if T-Rock is a crystal. But since they found that so early, that's not going to be the case here.
Yeah, and we did get a quick map check from Bonta as he was mirroring up Spectacle Rock that Misery Mire is our other pendant and Swamp is the green pendant. If Chad is to be trusted, you know how Chad is. But that means those flippers may not entirely be required to finish this seed.
Yeah, very much so. Ice Palace could be the odd one out that you're not intended to complete. Which would kind of be a horrible tease for our runners. You know, you see something early on that requires the boots and you go, okay, there's a decent chance I'm going to go ahead and get those boots somewhat early. And then if it ends up that, you know, they're not even intended to be grabbed until Ganon's Tower or something ridiculous. Alright, Bonta is biting the bullet. You know, that'll be interesting once... It'll be interesting to see if there's anything here. It's also kind of amusing that that Bonta ended up coming back before Josh even headed over to escape it all.
Yeah, I think you can definitely see why Bonta is a favorite to win this tournament. His execution has just gained him little stretches of time, a few seconds here and there, to sort of pull back pretty much even with Josh at this point, even with double dipping Zelda Cell more or less.
Yeah, they've made all the same checks, so he's actually a couple minutes ahead at this point because Josh needs to check here and then needs to check the Dark Cross.
Yeah, which
And then
Bonta
we'll
has
be fully
actually...
caught up.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was just going to say, Bonta actually did Dark Cross. He just went to it in the dark when he was checking the back of Escape, so...
Right. Sorry, I was referring to Josh not having grabbed Dark Cross because he just ended up saving and quitting out of the back of Escape. Alright, so chat, I know it's not your favorite number guessing game, but still, it is one that we get to do right now. How many blue balls is Aghanim going to toss at our wonderful runners? 0 through 15, 0 if you're nice, 15 if you're being realistic, and we'll see what we end up getting. What do you think?
You know what? I'm going to be nice to the runners. I'm going to say 1.
Alright, I'm going to say that Aghanim's not very good at golf, and I'm going to say 4.
Ooh, also seen 4 bombs as the stun prize. That's good information to have.
Yeah, that could come in very, very handy in a tight spot. Alright, and Josh has come to the same conclusion that Bonta has managed to make, and that is that Aghanim is a requirement this go around. Sorry guys, Aghanim's going to be your 7th crystal, looks like.
Yeah, this is one of those times when you don't feel too bad about not going to Aga early. They found lots of good stuff and got 2 crystals done while they were hunting for a way around it, so it doesn't feel too bad.
No, it's a 33.5-minute Aghanim, but it's also a 33.5-minute Aghanim that got you a bunch of stuff that you're going to need early game and late game. So, you know, you're making progress. Alright, so we'll see if that one holds for you.
Not looking good.
15 is still on the table. Oh no. Bonta, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Bonta. Okay, good. Okay, maybe not so good.
Five now?
Yeah, this is not a kind Aghanim. Okay, that's lucky number 7. Alright, it looks like Orange the Yordle is the first person I saw who dropped a 7 in there, so congrats on being correct in your jerky guess.
All right, so more rupees there on the pyramid ledge, which Bonta opts out of. Lots of options open to our runners. They do have that hook shot to get them across the river if they want to get over to West Dark World. We also have the option of clearing out basically all of Pod except for Helmasaur King at this point. Just the hammer short of being able to finish off the dungeon. So this is a lot of item checks that Bonta is going to get by heading this direction first.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I'm not sure that I fully agree with the pod check, just because I hate the walk here. And if he ends up having to do it twice, that would be really unfortunate. But this might end up being a French vanilla hammer, just like Eastern had the bow. So we'll see how that works out.
Question in chat. You can bomb Helma with only 5 bombs, but yeah, you need the hammer to actually get there. There are some hammer blocks in the way.
Chat also bringing up that Catfish might be holding our hammer, which would be unkind and potentially true. Alright, Josh gets to wait through his agonizingly slow Aghanim fight, while Bonta is just grabbing keys everywhere.
Yeah, friendly key layout so you can get the vanilla big key chest on the first trip through here. Yeah, Bonta was practicing that hover over from the arena bridge to the ledge, but I don't think he's good enough to do it without boots.
Oh, Josh looks like he is headed north. We have a little bit of divergence. And going for everyone's favorite out-of-the-way suburban check, the catfish.
Yeah, I always find this very tempting when I get forced to do Aga and have the hook shot. Sometimes I just feel like that's a sign that the game really wants you to go to West Dark World as soon as you can. So we'll see if Josh kind of backtracks to pod or keeps going west after this catfish check.
I mean, if he backtracks to pod after this catfish check, that would be a really gutsy early catfish check. Oh, just a piece of heart.
And
While Bonta grabs his shovel. Great. Wonderful.
Everybody loves fetch quests, right?
I mean, for some value of loves, I guess.
It's actually not a bad time to pick up the shovel since you'll be going to Stumpy fairly soon and can just grab it in that same trip, so...
Yeah, having the mirror definitely makes shovel a not terrible item. Alright, Bonta grabbing the all-important map.
I was gonna say, I know this isn't true, but I would swear Bonta has picked up nothing but keys out of pod so far.
It certainly does seem like that. Keys and the shovel. Alright, Josh gonna go out of his way to grab the graveyard ledge item. It's probably the best time he's gonna have to do that.
And Palace of Darkness comes up 100% dry.
I don't know, the jury's still out on that shovel. Don't
Guess
be
that's
too
true.
hasty now. Though, yeah, there usually is at least something somewhat helpful that you get out of pod, and there was just nothing this go-round. So it looks like Bonta is going to be chasing down Josh here. May or may not choose to go to Catfish.
Definitely a smart piece of routing there from Bonta, though, taking advantage of the fact that when you save and quit in the Dark World with Mirror and a dead Aghanim, that it brings you back to the pyramid. So a faster way to get back there than walking back out through the maze in front of pod.
Yeah, that's one of those things that makes you feel, whoa, hello. All right, Titan's Mitts and a dodging Murderdactyl. Josh is going to want to be careful when he jumps back down from that ledge after grabbing the mitts. Those Murderdactyls can be lying in wait.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see him turn the cape back on for that jump down off of there. But yeah, those mitts are a pretty exciting find.
Yep, they don't do a whole lot right now. They do open up Dark Death Mountain, though our runners are going to be loath to go back up there as we get another map check. So Pod and Skull Woods are our 5, 6. So now it becomes an interesting game of what crystal will our runners choose to skip, and will they choose the same one?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. With Hammer, we could finish 5 crystals at this point if you fake flipper your way into Ice Palace. So we are going to have to find the fire route at some point to be able to finish either Turtle Rock or Skull Woods, but we are pretty close to being able to finish this seed, actually.
Yeah, especially if we don't have to go into Turtle Rock, because then grabbing a medallion would be completely and totally not required.
I mean, I feel like you would want to try and skip Turtle Rock if at all possible, just because it's such a long dungeon and such a pain to get up there as well. Although if you kind of have to go to Ganon's Tower anyway, so...
Yeah, it's always an interesting choice, especially because at least, ooh, that's unfortunate. At least in my experience, Turtle Rock frequently has something you need. Whether that be maybe an early fire rod or something else, or boots even. So we'll see what the runners decide, depending on obviously what they grab here.
Yeah, and we often talk about Ice Palace as being one of the most annoying dungeons, but at least Go Mode Ice Palace is sort of a thing, where Turtle Rock, far less so.
Yeah, Go Mode Turtle Rock can be okay, depending on the key layout, but you still don't want to hold your breath on it. It can be very unpleasant as well. Alright, so that's our second item out of Skull Woods. Nothing important there unless you really like your swag net, so Josh is running away from the woods and headed towards our village of outcasts. And Bonta looks like he's going to go do our Dark Death Mountain check.
Yeah, so he's leaning toward item density a little bit, whereas I think Josh is really eyeing that Thieves Town Crystal, since that's very finishable right now.
Yeah, I can't really blame either of them. Bonta going for trying to get go mode as quickly as he can, and Josh just trying to run through crystals and hoping that his items kind of run into him along the way. You know, it's kind of funny. We've run rather dry after we were able to successfully grab a bunch of items early. Now it just seems like we're getting a bunch of junk.
Interesting. Josh is taking a break in the middle of his Village of Outcasts check to... Oh, it looked like he was going to head toward Myra Shed and whatnot, but opting against it.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know what he was thinking / changed his mind on there. That'll be something if we can remember to ask him about for the interview.
Yeah, it would definitely be a reasonable play to just grab a couple of quick overworld checks trying to track down the hammer before you head into Thieves Town. But yeah, apparently decided against it, and is just going to probably head in there right after the brewery check here.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to play well, there might be a hammer sitting somewhere in the mire area, so let's check that. He might just be kind of overall skipping Thieves Town right now. So we'll see what he ends up doing after the Smith chain here. It's also interesting that he didn't do the dig game beforehand, which is how it's normally routed. So he might be a little flustered right now, trying to figure out what to do next.
Oh!
All right, then. Well, it does tempered sword damage. That counts for something, right?
Josh, still thinking about that purple chest, but I think making the right decision. Thieves Town, full clearable at this point. It's a crystal. You are one item from go mode. I think you dive dungeons and nothing else right now.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. At this point, it is run through everything you can as quickly as you can. And if you don't run into what you need along the way, then you can start to reconsider what to do afterwards.
So yeah, Josh has pulled ahead a little bit by deciding to skip pod, which turned out to be the right decision. That there was nothing really in there but some health and a shovel. So if he manages to find Fire Rod along his natural route here, he will be in pretty good shape. This is shaping up to be a fascinating race.
Yeah, very much so at this point, because not only will Bonta have to double dip unless he chooses to leave pod as the crystal that he doesn't complete. Josh will also be able to just go mode it potentially, which would save him a boatload of time.
Although, to be fair, I believe the big key in pod was in Harmless Hellway. So that's about the worst place it could be if you're trying to go mode it.
That's right, I'm fairly certain you're correct there. I was thinking it was a bit earlier. You know, the amusing part about this whole thing is that grabbing the hammer before getting Thieves Town done might not even end up mattering in the long run, because you could have a dungeon item or the small key left in that chest. So we'll see how the layout ends up being. Josh dodging a couple of what, in my opinion, are some of the most scary monsters in the game. Half Magic is a really nice find, especially if they don't find either the silvers or the tempered sword before having to fight the pig.
Yeah, Josh did pick up a blue potion safety while he was over in the catfish area. But you never really complain about half magic.
Half Magic also makes Fire Rod Gauntlet, you know, a little bit more feasible, and it's always fun to just watch everything burn.
Ooh, small key for Josh, so he will get the advantage of knowing what's in this big chest where Bonta will not.
The moment of truth. Just a bunch of money.
All right, so it appears the fire rod hunt is on.
I hate those crickets.
People always tell me that you can predict how they move, but I certainly can't.
I would argue those people are trying to sell you something, but they might be able to. I know I never have.
All right, Josh is on the script here, does again break out the cape just to be on the safe side, but gets through that blind fight very quickly.
Bonta is not going to be happy to see that compass from blind, because that will make certain that there is an item back here in the big chest, which he may come back for once he grabs the hammer off of our smith buddies.
All right, and now Josh is going to head back and finish out the smith's chain. Probably hit hammer pegs and the purple chest while he is here.
Yep, we'll see if he passes up on the dig game or not. Alright, deciding to leave the purple chest for now and heading over to dig game, I would assume.
And not surprising to see another quick blind fight from Bonta.
You know, that's an interesting thought. Josh does not have the shovel. So we'll see if there's anything in our dig spot. This dig game really making him earn it. There we go, just for a piece of heart. Alright, grabbing the Rupee of Destiny out of Cave 45 there. As Bonta is going to go ahead and grab his hammer from our hammersmiths. Our runners are fairly low on health at this point, only 7 and 9 hearts respectively.
Yeah, the blue mail makes it not too bad, but not as comfortable on health as you would like to be when you are one item from go mode otherwise.
Alright, from 1 to 5, what are your guesses on Hype Cave here?
I'm gonna call this a 1 out of 5 hype cave.
Alright, I'm gonna say Fire Rod's in here, even though I'm probably almost definitely wrong. Ooh. Speaking of fetch quests,
And moment of truth upcoming for this shovel that Bonta has.
Yep, while the mushroom gives Josh nothing that he wants.
Oh!
Oh boy! Alright, so that is officially go mode for Bonta.
Wow, what a play. So full clearing pod, finding that shovel and nothing else, and then it pays off with the go mode item.
Yeah, that was crazy. Because Bonta's not even going to go check Hype Cave now. That entire portion's just going to be left undone.
Yeah, just abandoning the purple chest right there in the middle of the grove. Cause why not? Time to go beat the game now.
Yep, it will be interesting to see if either of our runners get a sword upgrade or another bow upgrade, or if we're stuck seeing Spin Cycle Ganon.
Yeah, I would suspect Bonta is not going to be opening too many more chests along the way. Ice Palace, he probably wants to full go mode, and Skullwoods is pretty picked clean right now.
Yeah, we've already seen everything out of Skull Woods, and we've already seen everything out of Pod, so that just leaves Ice Palace, and I highly doubt he's going to grab anything out of there. Which means either GT or bust. So now it's a really good thing for Josh that there's pretty much nothing else in Pod. That's much more likely to make the shovel stick out, which would lead him to his Fire Rod faster.
Yeah, he might follow through on that play he was thinking about before and head to Mire as an option. Both Mire and Desert are pendants, so that's not going to be as appealing, but certainly the Mire Shed and Checkerboard are fairly quick checks.
That is fair. I hadn't thought about that. And it's kind of amusing with what we said with the even with the flippers being over on the library. It doesn't look like we're getting the boots anytime soon.
Josh also still has Dark Death Mountain to do, which is going to be pretty tempting since he's gotten mitts recently.
That's a fair point, and Shovel isn't overly quick to check. So I guess the only thing we can hope for is that he decides to do Purple Chest and then goes from there. No, because he already did Purple Chest, didn't he? Yeah, this could end up being problematic for Josh. Bonta makes quick work of Helmasaur there.
And yeah, chat reminding us, Josh, I think did not follow through with the purple chest there, and Bonta definitely abandoned it.
Yeah, that's right. That's the check that Josh orphaned when he was stuck between maybe doing Dig Game or Purple Chest. He left Purple Chest behind. Alright, so Bonta is going to go hopefully make quick work of our favorite moth buddy. And that's just going to leave him with a couple crystals left to complete.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any particular advantage to doing Skull Woods before Ice. I think it's pretty much a toss-up at this point, so Bonta just felt like doing this one first.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that you would... I mean, the only... Especially since he's almost definitely going to completely and totally go mode Ice. Unless Cold Stare drops... Well, Cold Stare couldn't drop our flippers because you technically need them to go through Ice. So yeah, there's basically nothing that he could get in Ice Palace that would help him out at all here. And obviously there aren't any items here left, so it's just kind of a pick whatever you prefer.
Yeah, there theoretically could be a sword or something in Ice, but with half magic, you're going to have enough Fire Rod shots to just sort of spam them at Moth anyway.
Yeah, and since he's going to go mode Ice Palace, almost definitely that would have to be something that Cold Stare dropped. There we go. Moth finally coming down from those spikes and letting Bonta get the last hit in. Alright, Josh having a little bit of issue there with the turtle room, finally getting through it. Meanwhile, Bonta looks to run through Ice Palace really quickly.
Yeah, not even checking that Pengator chest. He is absolutely go-moding this. I guess we should say, we are talking as if Bonta is in go mode. There is always that 1 in 22 chance of the GT Big Key on the torch.
I hadn't even thought about that until you said something. So how do you think Bonta's feeling right now about their routing? Because there was a little bit of a hiccup there with going into pod, but then it ended up working out since grabbed the shovel early, was able to get the fire rod. If you're sitting in Bonta's seat right now, how are you feeling about how you routed this seat?
I think he's got to feel okay about it. I don't think he's going to feel behind under any circumstances. He might feel even because he did take that trip up to Death Mountain as well. That if your opponent skipped, that might be some time they saved over you. He can't feel bad about that pod trip, having found the fire rod on the dig spot, because, you know, even though you could have checked out of pod early after finding the shovel, there's no way you would ever do that. So he can't really feel like he wasted any time in pod.
Yeah, that's a really fair point. The only way Josh would have an advantage over that routing is if he had gone straight to the dig spot right after completing pod, because then he wouldn't end up double dipping it, and he'd still get the fire rod right away. But outside of that happening, which is fairly unlikely, it's going to end up taking Josh longer looking through all this other stuff first. Interesting. It looks like Josh is headed into... Maybe not. I'm not sure where Josh is going. Okay, just doing a setup for fake flippers.
And another pretty good fight there from Bonta. The Master Sword Cold Stare fight is always tough just because of those extra hits. You can't really get through it in the first 15 seconds and keep him against the wall, but some hammer shots in there as well. And he gets his 6th crystal, and Ganon's Tower is now open.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also keep in mind, this Ice Palace for Josh is going to take an eternity, because not only is he not going to full clear it, but he's also just has bombos to work with. Alright, on the thought of number games, I'm fairly certain that our bot is still broken, so we're just going to have to do it for fun this go around, chat. I know, I'm sorry. But go ahead and get your guesses in chat, 1 through 22, on where that big key is. What are your thoughts?
I'm a big fan of 9.
Okay, that's not too bad. Still makes him work a little bit, though.
Yeah, that's the, I believe it's the double fire bar room if you go Hope Room and then full left. The vanilla map location.
I believe that the double fire bar room was where it was in my commentary last night, so it'd be interesting to see it there again, potentially.
Question in chat, TR is not required. This is a 6/6 seed, so Ganon's Tower is open after 6 crystals. And then Ganon will be vulnerable after Aga 2 has been defeated and 6 crystals.
Would also be kind of amusing if Bonta didn't... Okay, good. I was going to say if Bonta didn't potentially realize that or opened it still out of habit. I'm going to go ahead and guess 14. No idea where that's going to end up because I don't watch enough of Bonta to know their routing decisions. But I'm going to go ahead and go with chest 14.
It's still so weird to see 6 crystals spinning around there to open up the tower.
Yeah, they didn't even try to make it look like a complete set. You've just got that one big gaping hole there. It's fine. It'll still open anyways. We'll just all have to work a little harder. All right, then. How about 1 for a guess?
That's a pretty good guess.
And it looks like we didn't have any 1 guesses, so I'm 3 good. Ended up guessing a 2, and that's the closest guess we have.
I mean, it actually was 2. Bonta just opened up those 2 chests in Hope Room in the wrong order, so...
I'm fairly certain that is a subjective thought right there. Don't think he has a fairy. Nope, get to do it again. Oh, and he has to dig up arrows. This could be interesting.
Yeah, that shovel paying off twice now.
Well, don't say it yet. He still has to dig up some arrows.
There's 10 arrows on Spectacle Rock just taunting him there. Oh, he's gonna... Oh, yeah. This works. Oh, no, wait. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, might still be faster, though. No, wait, never mind, 'cause he's... That's interesting. I thought it would have been faster to not go this way, and instead just hop back into the light world and go to the Turtle Rock portal, but I might be wrong there.
Yeah, it definitely would have been faster to walk back across the top. But... yeah, I think either way, I would have tried a couple more digs. I'm not sure.
I don't know the odds off the top of my head or off the bottom of my head for that instance. So I don't know what I would have done in that situation. I may have just gone left side and start clearing chests and hope to get some arrows there.
Yeah, or worst case, just go all the way full left side and... Geez, what is it? That teleporter right before Ice Armos? There are 5 arrows under a pot, almost all the way to Ice Armos.
Yeah, that would be an option. Josh once again making use of his cape, trying to take out Cold Stare here, but man, they are tanky when you just have the Master Sword. Oh, that's really unfortunate. I don't think he has a fairy either. Ooh, that is not fun.
Yeah, that is just one of the worst places to take a death in a dungeon.
And still has to drop a goo on making sure that he has magic. That's really unfortunate.
I gotta say, I think looking at the way Bonta is playing this Ganon's Tower, he does not feel ahead at all, or he would probably slow down just a little bit, but he is going full tilt at this Ganon's Tower climb.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things to do while you are racing someone one-on-one, and that's to kind of have a realistic opinion on what they may or may not have done, and not just assume that there's some amazing robot that got the spoiler log beforehand. Because you think about all the mistakes you made, and if you could race it again, how much faster it would have been. It's really difficult to get a good read on what the other person did or didn't actually do and where they may or may not be. But especially with that Cold Stare death, it most definitely is Bonta's race to lose, even if he has no idea of that fact right now.
And as you mentioned before, that half magic coming in handy is Bonta using that fire rod to good effect in the gauntlet here. A little bit of trouble in this last room, but...
Yeah, and without silvers, it's probably your best option as a weapon. Sitting on Master Sword and no silvers, there's not really a whole lot else that does a whole bunch of damage. Unless you want to drag out the hammer on the ice, which I wouldn't do personally.
And not getting any magic out of those whiz robes, he's going to probably have to switch to the lamp for this torch room coming up.
I was just going to ask, do you know if he has any more potions?
I think he did pick up a green at one point.
Okay, because he's sitting on 9 hearts max, and even with blue mail, that is not a whole lot to be dealing with when you're looking at Ganon, so we'll see how that goes.
But yeah, I believe he used the blue just before starting the gauntlet the second time.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, there's tempered. That'll help quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a very convenient find. That might even be better than silver's at this point.
Yeah, not having to load up spins is really, really nice. While Josh is looking for round 2 on Cold Stare, once again gonna go ahead and use that cape.
Yeah, he's taking advantage of the fact that the magic doesn't really go down if you're slashing like a crazy person while you have that cape running, so getting some extra time out of the cape invincibility there.
Awesome, Cold Stare's down. Alright, so that is 5 crystals for Josh, and at this point he really just needs to go to that dig spot and grab the fire rod. Don't know if that was a single or a double. Those two were really close to one another.
I'm not sure how that second one missed there, but okay.
Okay, so that looks like it was a 2-1-1. So it looks like that first one was a double, because they only got one hit off of that last one. Alright, the pig giving us some bug facts. And it looks like Josh is going to be heading into Turtle Rock potentially, which as he has bombos, that's an option for him. This is going to be unpleasant. Bonta down to half a heart here, so don't let him look at you funny.
Yeah, through the second phase, which is certainly the worst, but he does have the silverless spins at the end to deal with.
Amusingly enough, it looks like Josh might be finding those silvers as long as they're not fire rod locked. Alright, and the pig is down. Alright, get your GGs in chat for Bonta.
And that is an official SRL time of 1:22:18. Congrats to Bonta for taking this first match 2-0.
Yep, his choice to get that to go in the pod early actually really ended up helping him out.
Yeah, as the saying goes, Rando is definitely going to Rando, and that shovel leading to the fire rod sort of out of nowhere was an incredible turning point in this race.
Yeah, that was one that we didn't really see coming, especially because we were lauding Pod as being completely and totally useless for several minutes after. And then the shovel ended up being what he needed for the fire rod. Meanwhile, Josh goes a little farther into the depths of Turtle Rock.
And sort of luckily for him, gets fire rod locked at the chain chomps. Will not be able to go any further in there.
Yep, we're really hoping to see a 4 duck drop here. Okay, it looks like he may be headed over to that dig spot. So he'll end up finding the fire rod.
It's the point where you can almost start to metagame a little bit and just kind of think to yourself, well, how in the world did Bonta finish this fast? And it really just has to be that fire rod is just kind of sitting out there in the open in some place you haven't checked yet. So not surprised he's headed toward the dig spot fairly early.
Yeah, especially if he did see that dot done. I know some runners don't really look at SRL all that much until they are actually finished, but if he did see that, then yeah, it would definitely be an, oh, okay, so the fire rod is probably right here.
And Josh, not surprisingly, will be heading straight toward the moth here. Yeah, sort of feels bad for Josh at this point. To know that you made smart plays the whole time and just not quite the right ones. Skipping pod or going into it when Bonta did is pretty much a toss up, and Josh went one way and just kind of got randoed as a result of it.
Yeah, there's sometimes that you win or lose a race because your execution or your routing were just better, but sometimes you get randoed, and that's kind of what happened here. Especially because he started off the Dark World by not doing pod, which seemed fine since he didn't get the hammer. So he skips pod, and then he goes into Turtle Rock. He goes into Skullwoods, finds nothing there, decides to hold off on Thieves Town, and then grabs the hammer from the smiths, which must have looked like a godsend at that point. So then he can go right back into Thieves Town, finish that out. He's got the hammer, which is looking really good, so he can circle back around and do pod. And in his head, he's probably thinking, well, this routing really, really helped me out. Because if I'd gone to pod, I would have just been SOL. I'd have had to double dip it. But it ended up that, Pod would have given him the shovel, which would have given him his go mode item. So it's one of those things where you thought you had it, and then it kind of tricked you on the other end of it.
Yeah, and it sort of ran into the thing we said about shovel as well. If you get shovel before you go to Stumpy and you have mirror, you love it. And if you get it anytime after that, it's just like, oh, when am I ever going to check this? So
All right, so now with his 6 crystal, he'll be able to make his jog up to GT.
can I play the big key guessing game? Am I allowed to do that or no?
I mean, you might not necessarily be correct because we don't know if Josh is going to go full left or not.
Actually, that's true. I would feel bad if I lost the guessing game at this point, so I'll just hold off.
I mean, he could also check the chests left to right, which would lead him with a number of 2 instead of 1. All right, and as Bonta said in chat, he's not going to be doing a voice interview with us. He will be in chat, so if you have any questions you want to toss in his direction, feel free to do so.
And of course, GG again to Bonta. Excellent race, very well run. This is a good time also to point out, while Josh is continuing his climb up to GT, that if you've enjoyed the run that you've watched today, give both of these runners a follow. They're both excellent Link to the Past runners, and you will get a lot of great content following them. And we also appreciate your support here on the Speed Gaming family of networks as well. So we would appreciate a follow on Speed Gaming original and 1 through 5. Are we up to 6, I believe.
I believe it's 6 now. Yep, and ALTTPR, ALTTP randomizer, that is 1 through 5. While we're at it, I would like to give a shout out to my co-com, Cool Papa Bell. It was great doing the com with you. Make sure you give him a follow.
Thank you very much. And of course, HammerBro34. We got the links there in chat. Thanks to also our fearless tracker, keeping track of all of our runners' items, Jeremy Tramer. Thank you to you as well for keeping us on track while we watch this race.
That's a really nice collection rate from Bonta, 112. Although the 2 chest GT most definitely helped in that regard. All right, so keep in mind we do have still a buttload more races coming up even tonight. I know there's another race at 7:30 on this very channel, and because I'm a very, very bad commentator, I can't tell you who's running it right now, though I am looking that up. We also have a couple more races going on right now, and a bunch more starting tonight. So the race that is coming on right after this one on this channel is Roach 788 versus Freddy. So there's still plenty more ALTTP randomizer out there for you, for those of you who haven't quite gotten your fix yet. I am most definitely going to have to check out that tie because I didn't see it.
Yeah, it just goes to show you what a excellent and well-matched tournament this is going to be if we've got a tie between runners already. I mean, an hour and a half-ish to get through the race, and they finish 2 seconds apart. It's just ridiculous. So should expect to see a lot more great races along those lines throughout this whole tournament.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that, especially as our field keeps getting smaller and smaller.
I thought it was interesting, too, looking at the qualifiers for this tournament. More people qualified for this than last year's fall tournament, but the score to get in was higher, meaning there are just more and more people who are really good at Rando, which just makes this a great tournament to watch.
Yeah, I think there were 96 qualifiers for the tournament last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the competition just keeps getting tighter and tighter, which is actually really, really amazing for us because we get to commentate, track, and watch races that are just getting better and better as the years go on.
That was a nice arrow snipe from Josh going into that third room of the gauntlet. I'm going to have to look into the RNG patterns in those rooms and learn those a little bit better.
Yeah, this next room definitely taking its pound of flesh, though, after that first one went nicely. It's funny because frequently these rooms can look really, really easy when you watch someone else do them. But the first time you jump on them, it's like, oh man, this is actually really stinking hard. And Landmo being a troll twice. Gonna be a 3 cycle here, most likely.
And Josh will likely end up with the fairly straightforward Tempered Silver's Ganon fight here, assuming he checks that chest in the Mini Helma room.
Yeah, do you know offhand where he ended up grabbing the Oh, that's unfortunate. Where he ended up grabbing the silvers? I'm assuming it was an Ice Palace, but I didn't actually see it get picked up.
They were actually in the Chain Chomp room.
Gotcha, Turtle Rock. Okay, it was the last thing he picked up there before he was Fire Rod locked out. Alright, so Josh just having a few rooms left here to go before his Agate 2 exam. Hey, Bonta, if you're still there in chat, I do have a question for you. How did you feel about your routing, especially once you dug up that fire rod? Yeah, we had wondered about that Zelda's chest check. We weren't certain if you were going to just leave that one or if you were going to come back, and you actually came back to it pretty quickly.
Meanwhile, Josh is heading into the Agate 2 fight with 2 whole hearts.
And that looked like it was almost definitely a double. Yeah, Bonta, that was the one thing that we had clued into too, because Josh ended up grabbing the hammer first, so he was able to fully clear Thieves Town. And once I saw there was an item in that big chest, we were wondering how much that was going to play on your mind. But then, of course, you do end up doing the Smith chain, so you get the hammer, and then while you're digging up the dig spot, you end up with the fire rods. Then you're in go mode, and it doesn't really matter from that point.
All right, so it looks like Josh is going to go refill his health a little bit. I think he also, I've been told, and I haven't tried this yet, that you can use Quake to like knock fairies and things out of trees. So I think he could have just gone down the pyramid and used Quake to get that fairy out of the tree at the bottom, even without boots. But he's just gonna flute to the potion shop and stock up a little bit.
Interesting. I don't know that I've tried that. I'll have to look into that later. Yeah, I don't know much about mimic clipping, Bonta, so I wasn't sure how comfortable you were with doing that. But there ended up being arrows on top of Spectacle Rock, so it didn't end up being too terrible. All right, Josh is potioned up, has his tempered and his silver, so he's going to go ahead and make quick work of the piggy.
Get set up nicely for the double spins behind Ganon to get through the second phase.
Those bats really taking it out on him, though.
Yeah, they do not mess around in blue mail.
They don't really mess around in any mail. All right, Josh gets a double there and looks to follow it up with another double, and the piggy is dead. So go ahead and get your GGs in chat for Josh.
And that is an official SRL time of 1 hour and 41 minutes even from...
Alrighty, I do not know if we're going to have enough time to do a quick interview with Josh if he is so inclined. We do have a race coming up somewhat shortly, although I don't know if that race started on time or not.
Yeah, it looks like we should have a couple minutes if Josh is available, because, yeah, 15 minutes until that one is scheduled to start, so... And yeah, it looks like we have Josh here in the Discord, so once he gets the mic and everything set up, we will chat to him about the seed.
Yeah, but that was a heck of a race, and that was a perfect example of why Randomizer is Randomizer.
Yeah, some big swings back and forth there. We also saw a lot of the power of that 6/6 seed, just kind of reducing the amount of stuff we actually needed to finish the seed. Although, as we pointed out, or as chat pointed out for us at the time, we were actually in go mode for all 7 crystals at that point, since the Turtle Rock medallion ended up being friendly, being the one medallion that we had at the time.
That's fair. It could be that we followed logic pretty much perfectly at the end there, and they were just expecting us to take out Turtle Rock instead of Ice Palace.
Yeah, logically, who knows where those boots into flippers were, but I don't know if anybody saw anything in the credits or anything like that about where those boots might be. But who needs boots and who needs flippers when you can just fake your way into Ice Palace?
I mean, when you're finishing a seed in under an hour and 40 minutes, it's not really... Boots aren't that big of a deal.
Early flute was also very helpful in keeping the time down on this one. You got to love finding flute right there in Kakariko, and you can activate it right away.
Yeah, early flute also got 2 swords pretty quickly, which just generally helps overworld traversing. All right, we are joined in our voice chat by Josh. Josh, how are you doing, man? That seed was a bit unpleasant at the end there.
Yeah, just a bit.
I am very sorry to say that you got randoed this go round. That shovel was unkind.
To be fair, I should have checked shovel spot, I feel, after Ice Palace. I think I was grasping a bit there, knowing Bonta's going to be so much better in execution. So, yeah, a bit of a mistake in routing, I'd say.
That's fair. You deciding to check Hammersmiths, though, and coming out with the hammer, that was a really, really good move on your part.
Yeah, that worked out well, I guess. Let me check. Thieves Town, big chest, and I mean, I'd checked it after Thieves Town anyway, so I'm not sure how much difference it really made.
Yeah, it looked like you were thinking about a couple of overworld checks before Thieves Town, like fluting down to Meyer, but then you decided against that one in particular. Any particular thing that went into your thought process there, or?
I think I forgot how the mirror worked, basically, and that fluting back wasn't going to work how I thought it was after checking Checkerboard Cave.
I see. That's a good point. So if you had checked Checkerboard Cave, then you would have had to flute back, and then still go back up north to the portal and come back down.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, any other thoughts about the seed overall?
No, G to Bonta. I think the better player won.
Don't sell yourself short. You did really well. It was only really that dig spot check that got you. And honestly, I can't say that doing that over Dark Death Mountain was really a bad call, because if Dark Death Mountain had your fire rod, or even if your fire rod had been early in Turtle Rock, you would have ended up, it would be a completely different story, and you would end up saving all those checks. So it's just how randomizer works out sometimes.
Yeah, I suppose.
Alrighty, cool, Papa Bell. Do you have any last thoughts about this seed?
Not in particular. I think we have pretty much covered it. I'm excited to have seen the 6-6 seed, some of the new options coming into play in some tournament races that we haven't gotten a chance to see before. So that was exciting. And yeah, like we said before, there's so much more great rando action coming up in this tournament that I'm excited how much we've got left.
Yep, same here. And if you want to see some more randos, stay tuned because we have another one coming up right on this game's heels.
Yeah, let's see. What do we say? We've got Roach788 versus Frede on this channel right here. Also, Asclepios Rod versus Andy over on Speed Gaming 2, also coming up at 7:30. So great options for more rando still tonight.
Yep. Anyways, I think that is all for us. So to the rest of you, enjoy the rest of the night, whether you choose to watch Rando or not. Although I would definitely suggest watching Rando. And for those of you who play it, may your seeds not be terrible, and if they are, may they at least be funny. Until then, have a good night.